Tuimoloau. Wow, that guy is still good. Welcome back to BuckIQ. I am Austin Ward. That is Zach Boren. There won't be any bad puns from him, but there will be some closer looks at Ohio State's defensive effort and their star in that game, in that win over Penn State. JT's pretty good, Zach.
Unbelievable. I mean, I wish he could act like he's playing Penn State every week. Look at what he's done the last two years playing Penn State, going up against arguably the best tackle in all of college football. I mean, the way that JT is able to use his athleticism, his power, his speed. I mean, everything that he is so gifted with, he was able to utilize on Saturday. And when you want to talk about a guy number one in the country coming out of his recruiting class, you expect game changer at the defensive end position. He gave you all of that plus more on Saturday when push comes to shove late in that game.
Yeah. What is it about him athletically, Zach, that impresses you the most?
I think it's his ability to be able to play with power, be able to play with speed, and be able to do so many different things. You know, so many times at the defensive end position, guys get kind of locked into their one go-to move. You know, you see guys that are athletic but have trouble playing the run because they can't play with that power, and their bull rush isn't what it should be, and they can't play with their hands and shed blockers. And so they rely on, hey, I'm gonna make a living on those passing situations, put my hand in the ground and beat an offense tackle with speed. Then you've got other guys who are just power guys, right? And when they get in those passing situations, they don't get home as much because they are more powerful dudes. And I'm not taking any jabs, but that's kind of that Jack Sawyer brand, right? And we've talked about that for so long, as Jack is so good with his hands and power, but kind of lacks that athletic speed rush that you need. JT's got the best of both worlds. You know, it's almost like combining like JJ Watt with Dwight Freeney, right? Dwight Freeney was a speed athletic dude. And then you have JJ Watt, who's a power guy and who's long and who can do those different things. And you bring them together, and it's like you have no idea. As an offense tackle, it's so hard because when you game plan guys, you're like, hey, okay, third down passing situation, what's their go-to move, right? You normally say, hey, an up and under. Hey, this guy's going to hit me on the inside and try and beat me on the outside with speed. Hey, this guy's got a bull rush, so I really got to sit down and get in my stance. JT can do all of those things. And so that's what makes it so hard, because then you make it a guessing game from the offense tackle. And JT is quick enough and smart enough when the kind of the game's going in the snap happens, that he's able to go to all three of those different moves and give you all three different looks on different situations every single time. And that's what makes him so dangerous.
I couldn't believe it because watching the game, covering the game, it felt like, man, JT is involved in every single play. He's impacting the game. You could feel it. I knew it. Everybody in the horseshoe knew it. Everybody watching on TV. And then I finished up post game and got back up to the press box, and it was like, he was only credited with one tackle, and it was one sack and then one quarterback hit. Like, this can't be right. That doesn't match up with what I saw. He was changing the game, and you could barely even see it in the box score. It was crazy to me.
That's what special players do. They're not always going to have the stats, but when you watch a game in real time, you're like, oh my God, did that guy make a difference? Right. And that's why they call them difference makers. I mean, that's what JT was. You know, it's not stat makers. It's different. It's difference makers. And so late in that game, you know, getting after the quarterback, I don't think he was credited with enough hurries for what he had. I don't think, you know, he doesn't get credits for stuff in the holes and letting the linebackers and DBs make the plays down at the line of scrimmage. Like, he was taking on multiple blockers every single play. He was doing what he was supposed to do plus more. He's just not going to have the stats for it. But when you want to talk about someone who was dictating the game and that the defense was playing off of, JT was that guy. He was setting the tone from the first snap all the way to the last.
So here's what we're going to do when we get into rolling the tape here. We're not even going to look at the sack. So I'm going to test that theory about JT Tuimoloau and let Zach explain how it happened that he was changing the game at Penn State without the sack, which was maybe the easiest play he made, because, I don't know, Penn State thought they could run a tight end across the formation to block a freakishly gifted defensive end. I don't know, questionable decision, but I'm just an amateur. So we're going to remove that one from the equation and look at all the others where Tuimoloau changed the game against Penn State as the Buckeyes get ready for Wisconsin. Let's roll the tape. All right, Zach, early on in the Penn State game, I just had this flashback. It was like, well, apparently Penn State didn't learn anything from the film a year ago. Let's just try and throw a screen at the best screen defender I think I've ever seen at Ohio State.
I completely agree with you. Ask Notre Dame that question as well late in the game, right? He is just so good at reacting to these plays right in front of him. And he's reading this, obviously sees a run fake, which slows him down a little bit, but he's able to play off of this. He comes down and you see him come back out to the tight end knowing, hey, listen, I got contained. I need to get wide. And this is just a feeling thing. Great players have a feeling for what's about to happen, right? And they always say when you're an offensive player, I had to do this, and you're going out for a screen, it's almost like you give a half-ass block, right? You want to go there, make him feel you, but you don't want to get caught up in him. And so JT felt it right there, right? He knows, hey, this dude's supposed to be blocking me, but kind of gives me a little bit of a chip and doesn't want me to be held back. And so guess what? I feel it. I'm able to backpedal into this. This is a perfect play right here, especially after Penn State had just gotten a first down.
Zach, it looks like too. So he can feel that block, but I'm looking at it right here. It does seem like JT also has his eyes straight into the backfield. So read and react plus feel. I mean, what's more important? I guess it's a combination of both.
For sure. At this point, right, look where JT's at. He's almost 7 yards away from the quarterback at an angle. At this point, as a defensive lineman, you're taught, hey, if you're not going to get there, right, play the quarterback's eyes and try and get your hands up. But you look at Ty Hamilton right now too, right? He's like, hey, I'm not going to get there. I know quarterback's about to throw the football. I'm going to try and turn and get back to it. Well, JT's doing that the entire way. Hey, I know I'm not going to get pressure, so I'm going to read the quarterback's eyes. He's looking right at me. What could be going on over here? I'm going to play the football and make the play.
So you put it down. It's not the biggest play of the game. It's a 1st and 10, but that was key to the whole game, is putting them in situations where they're behind the chains. This one is a little bit more noticeable and impactful. You've got a 4th and 3 situation. JT gets a little one-on-one against a left tackle, Ola Fashanu, who many view as maybe the best prospect in the draft at that position.
Yeah, we're going to see multiple looks here from JT, which is exactly what we just talked about, right? Is that JT right here, hey, listen, I'm a wide 9, right? I'm going to make him come out here, and guess what? What am I feeling in this situation? You can see him get his hand right on the offense tackle, and he uses his right hand. This is great right there. If everyone sees that, what's that do? And everyone would be like, well, he's getting his shoulder square to the offense lineman, easier to block. You know what it does? As soon as he gets that right hand into the offensive lineman's chest, you saw it. What's he do? He stops, right? He stops in his pass pro, and then JT is able to rip his left arm underneath this and be able to get the short corner. Look at that. The short corner is right there. The offensive lineman has no idea, but as soon as JT threw that right hand into his chest, Penn State's offensive lineman sat down, thinks quarterback's behind me, thinks he's going to go bull rush into me. Instead, JT uses his speed right here, gets his arm on the quarterback, and makes a massive play on 4th and 3. I mean, this is textbook from that standpoint, with hand placement, the way you're able to rip, the way you're able to give an offensive lineman kind of a false look. This is perfect.
Yeah, this also reminds me just how close Ohio State was to a number of these last year. Certainly late against Georgia, Zach Harrison, similar situation. Like, they're not missing now. That extra half second, that extra beat, it feels like Ohio State is taking that next step this year. JT certainly a big part of that, but he's not alone, because then you get a situation like this, maybe a chance to put the game away, 4th and long, a Rushman package, party at the quarterback.
Could not agree with you more. And I want everyone to look at this 4th and 30, right? You just saw JT show kind of a power look and transition the speed, right? So he threw that arm or that hand into the offensive lineman's chest, showing that, hey, I'm a bull rusher, and then hit him with speed. Here, what's he doing? He's showing a speed look, right? I'm going to give you a little juke. I'm going to try and get on an edge. And then what's he do? He transitions from speed to power. Now he's got the left arm right in the offensive lineman's chest and drives him all the way back. As soon as he shows that speed and then hits him with that hand and strikes him right in the chest, Next, offense lineman loses his balance, is completely caught off guard, thought he was sitting on a speed rush, didn't happen. And now JT is so strong and has the power to get right back into the quarterback. And how he's not credited with some kind of sack here, I have no idea.
Yep. Kenyatta and Jack Sawyer getting in the mix. And hey, how about that, Zach? Jack Sawyer lining up on the interior spot in that Rushman package. Looks like it might be something to consider.
I absolutely love it. You and I talked about this multiple times before the season starts. I think Jack is so good at a 3 technique. Like, I think he's an All-American inside. Like, that's how good I think Jack is from that standpoint. And that's where I think you should see him moving forward, especially in passing situations, working on those offensive guards with how powerful he is, how long he is, and doing those things. But those 3 right there that are back at the quarterback, Kenyatta, Jack, and JTT, my God, are we going to see a lot of that? And you got Mike Hall in there too, who is an absolute dog when when it comes to getting after the quarterback. So those 4 dudes up front, man, opposing quarterbacks got a long day ahead of them.
Yeah, we'll see if that carries over to Saturday night at Wisconsin, which is going to be without their starting quarterback. Tanner Mordecai is out. So a big challenge there for Wisconsin, and another opportunity for Tuimoloau. I'm too excited to get that name out, and you got to take your time with it, and I will. JT Tuimoloau. Wow, he's good. That's BuckIQ. That's getting set for Ohio State and Wisconsin, and putting a bow on all the coverage of Penn State. I know Zach will be fired up to break down another game, another opportunity on Sunday Blitz, and then we'll have a defensive look again next week. But until then, enjoy Ohio State and Wisconsin on Saturday night. For Zach Boren, I'm Austin Ward. We'll talk to you later.